Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to the live episode. Let me turn this off. I'm trying something new tonight, so let me turn something off here.
The moment I saw that on
Yeah,
backstage, I was
I
like,
think I
"Oh,
got
here
it
we
though.
go.
I think I got it.
You got it.
Okay, there we go.
Good stuff."
So let me mute this one, you guys. Again, I'm trying something new. We're trying to work something out here tonight with you know what I'm doing, don't
I
you?
know.
I'm going to make this work. So,
You're determined, so it's gonna
um,
happen. It's gonna happen.
yep, determined. Do you hear an echo?
No, I don't. You
You
good?
don't.
No.
Okay. All right. So I am. So let me do this, and you guys just bear with us. We're trying to. I'll go ahead and tell you. We're trying to find a way to be able to take callers. So bear with us. I am going to. It's weird because I have everything muted, so I don't know why I'm hearing this. Nonetheless, if you guys don't hear it, and if you are out there and you do hear an echo, please let me know. Let us know in the comments section. So, welcome to the BTG Unity TV broadcast where we promote that we are always better together. So, how are you doing, Mr. Trent Williams?
I'm good. I'm good. I had a rough one today, but
Really?
everything's good though. Everything's good.
Rough season?
Nah, I was. I prayed for this, so yeah. Hey, I gotta go 10
You
toes
did
down.
what?
I prayed for this. What I was just been busy with work
Okay.
between the trucking company and the media stuff and all that stuff. So
Okay. Okay. Well, busy
that's
is
it.
good sometimes. Depends on the season that you're
Oh
in.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So welcome you guys. Thank you for joining us. And again, if so, I see we have a comment. So let me see. Hopefully, someone's saying no. Hello, slash. You're there. Can you? Are you
What up,
hearing
Slash?
an echo on your end? If you could let us know, yes or no, please. And thank you for joining this conversation. So you guys, again, thank you guys, and thank you, Trent, again for just coming and sharing this space and this time with me.
Gotcha.
So you don't know this. I'm gonna skip. I got some notes, but I'm gonna skip all over these notes. You don't know, or at least I don't think you know where this topic came from.
I really don't. I looked at it and I was like, wow, I think I want some of this. So
So
where'd it
last
come from?
week, when we talked about struggle love,
Uh,
you made the comment that we're all in a spiritual season and that people are at a pivotal point in life, meaning, and you said, I won't say meaning, you said that they are finding themselves
right.
and they are, I'm going to put this in my words, awakening to the highest level, I think, um,
Okay.
of
Yeah,
these.
a lot of folks don't know that, but I be completely out of body when I'm on these podcasts, and
Well,
I'm more than sure I said it. If you said I said
oh,
it,
you did, because I went back to make sure. And my response when you said it last Tuesday was, oh my gosh, because now, mind you, people, well, I don't say mind you, but I had someone else scheduled, tentatively scheduled for tonight, and they were not able to satisfy the schedule, meet the demands of the schedule. So after learning that, I'm like, well, then I'm just going to push forward with spiritual season.
that's a good one,
And
man. That's a good one. That's a good one.
right, and so I look at that or looked at that as my as God approving or just stepping in
Right.
and making that thing not happen so this thing could happen. And so
before
I'm in.
before we get started, Slash says he's gonna keep your ear out, and actually Slash does you as you know Slash does all the technical work for the conversation, so he's gonna make sure it's straight.
Oh, I didn't know that. I want that same kind of technical help slash. I feel kind of left out here.
No, you're not. He gonna take care of it. Take care.
But well, I'm glad he doesn't hear it. And then when we I have someone that's going to call in here shortly just to test it. So you
So
guys,
when you do though, when they call in, make sure the phone. It's away from the device. Just a smidget. Don't bring it right up on the device.
Right. Well, you and I test when we tested, I didn't even hear the what I'm hearing now. So that's weird that I'm actually hearing it now, and I have everything muted. So it may just be different when the phone call comes in, and after
Yeah,
I
and then you
mute
can drop
it.
your volume down a little bit to get away
Right.
from the
Right.
feedback. But we
Right.
should be
So
good. We should be good.
right. So in about 3 minutes, they're going to call in and just, again, we're testing some things, trying to find a way to. I love being able to take, I love the comments. Don't get me wrong, you guys, but it's nothing like hearing that voice and allowing people to express their
Good
thoughts and
stuff.
feelings as it relates to what we're talking about. So bear with us tonight. We're going to get into the topic just a bit here. Um, you were saying, or was I saying? I don't know
You were telling me what I was saying, and I was telling you
about the
that
topic.
you know it, but I don't share that with a lot of folks. When I do the podcast, I don't write anything down. I just, especially with Tammy, I don't take any notes. I've been doing this thing with Tammy for so long to where I'm completely out of body when we're doing these things. So
Yeah.
uh,
Typically, I typically, well, lately, as of late, I haven't been taking a lot of notes, but for this one, I had to because I'm pretty sure I've heard spiritual seasons of life. I've heard it, I'm pretty sure. But for some reason, last week, it just pierced my soul. Like,
right,
it just pierced my soul. And I could not, I cannot go on without saying it was God's
right.
divine intervention
I
because
just had a thought here, right?
hold
We
on,
were having a
I can't
conversation.
let this go. You tell, hold on, because I am the messenger, one of the messengers, you guys. But this message is for me tonight. Like this message has blessed my spirit in such a way that I almost don't want to be on this side of it. I just kind of want to say, hey, I'm gonna log out and log back in as a viewer, and I'm gonna
Let's go.
listen. That's how much just diving into this has helped me. I wanted to say, hey, let's give this another week because I need more. I need to make
Right.
sure that I am fed
The
before
time
I
is
try to
now.
feed this.
The time is now. And I'm saying that because we were having a conversation. We're having a conversation a couple of days ago,
Hmm.
and you were saying how tired you were, and how you just you didn't want to do it, but God keeps coming to you, keeps coming to you, right? And I'm always reminding you, hey man, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this, got to do that. And you always, I'm so tired. These people just not getting it, all that stuff. And I think this is where you're going with this, as far as the spiritual season, because a lot of people are gonna be awakened by your voice and by your message.
Okay, so hold on one second, you guys. Okay, now, caller, are you there? Okay. Oh, wait a second. It's not working like it worked for us. And he is here, so let me try something here. Caller, are you there? Okay, so we got to do more work on this. It's not working.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, we'll work on it. So, um, okay. I don't know why. Caller, are you there? Okay. So we'll have to work on that, you guys. We'll get it. I'm gonna figure that thing out. We're gonna have some callers coming in here soon. We're gonna figure that out.
Good stuff.
Um, so I get what you're saying. I do, and you're right. Sometimes I really do feel like because you and I we talk. We've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah,
We're doing this for a long time, and it's a whole season. It's a whole 4 seasons to like I've been home maybe 35 minutes. I ate half of my meal so that I can be here. I've worked all day. I have my own life. I have my grandbabies now, and things have really changed because of them because I'm trying to get all of that time in. And so, as we were talking, I was saying to him, like, if it were left up to me, I just really would have stopped. Let me just turn this off. So, that's how I feel about it. And I'm just being honest. Like, it takes a lot to show up. Thank you, Slash. It's just so awesome. Thank you, Slash.
What do you say?
Let me
What
get
do you
this
say?
comment up. Let me just close myself in this comment. Y'all see what Slash said?
What do you say?
Miss Tammy, this, what is he saying? Why is his writing so long? This delusion in the world needs your seasoning and spiritual good word.
Boom.
Seasoning. Seasoning. I actually gonna talk about that tonight. It's in my
Absolutely.
notes. But this season is, why is this thing, this is bugging me, y'all. I gotta turn this off. I'm sorry. Because it's getting on my nerves. I can hear it. Talk to the people, Trent, while I turn this off.
Appreciate you guys tuning into the B2G Unity television station, TV station network on your Roku stick. We really appreciate it. That's Butterfly Evolution and Taylor Kennedy Media combined for better TV together. Good stuff. Good stuff. So as Tammy get this thing going right here, you guys could actually go on over to
Get
b2gunitytv.com,
this thing going,
stream
baby.
live from there or
Okay.
whatever, or you could actually catch us on demand 24/7, b2gunitytv.com.
I think I know what it is. I think I just figured it out.
Did you?
To my caller, if you're listening, please call me back. Somebody call me back. I think I know what happened.
Gotcha.
Okay. We'll
Okay.
try that again later. I hope the person I asked to call in and test calls me. I think I know what it was. So, um, back to the show. And thank you guys again for your patience. This is live TV. We're trying to build this thing. We're trying to work this thing. So thank you for your patience. And we're going to continuously need it because we're going to keep trying to bring this thing to a perfection. Especially
Absolutely.
now, I'm well. I can't say that, but some things have changed for me in my life. They're changing here shortly, and I will have more time to dedicate to what God has called me to do. Can I just say that? And I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm here for the call, but I come fighting. Like I think I come like tonight, I come fighting. But I'm here. I'm here because I know the importance of listening to God's direction, whether I understand it or not. So I'm here. So back to you. You said this, and it just touched me in a way, and that was
And
your
which show was that I said that?
what was it? Struggle Love. Struggle Love.
Okay. All right.
Struggle Love. Last week.
Okay. All right.
Last week. So I started digging and I contemplated on which do I use because there's many definitions for spiritual seasons out there,
Right.
meaning what they are named and what they're called. So we're going to get into those tonight and we're going to use the winter, spring, summer, and fall so that it will be much easier for you to relate it to your life
Right.
in that season. So um, housekeeping tips. I want to make sure I do my due diligence going forward with my Bluff City leadership um, ordeal. So, Bluff City Leadership, I am the owner of Bluff City Leadership, and this is where I help people. Most of the times it's couples, but I also work with individuals as well. This was another God thing because I had no interest in working with couples. It just ended up being that way because I started receiving calls about coaching couples, coaching couples needing coaching about their communication and so forth. So I thought, okay, God, maybe you're opening this door in this season. So I went further and got my certification to work with couples with the life language process. So a lot of you don't know because I don't mention it a lot, but I am a certified life language coach with an extra certification in couples coaching. We offer an amazing assessment. If you're in a season, and everybody's in a season, everybody. So I'm not going to say if you are. We're all in some type of season, whether you know it or not. And it's our desire, and I hope that after hearing this show tonight, that you all will be able to identify your season, the season that you're strongest in, the season that you're weakest in, and learn how to, hey, just flow through that thing. So that is why we're here tonight. and I haven't said this to Trent, but we're going to have to come back because I don't think we're going to be able to um, cover it all tonight. I don't think we
We
will
could do a
be.
part. We could do 2 parts. That'd be fun.
Okay.
I'm up for it.
Okay. So, the Bluff City Leadership, we offer an assessment that helps you just not understand who you are, but understand how you're wired and why and how you respond to why you respond to life, love, people, and situations in the way that you do. It's so personal. It's like no other assessment. I'm not saying this because I'm doing it. I would not be doing this if I could not say what I'm saying about it. It would be a waste of my time. So it was life changing for me. I was at a pivotal point, with that was your word last week, in my life. And thankfully, my friend Tika, I cannot say enough about Tika, bought this to me, and it was out of love, but the way that she presented it, it was as if she said, I know you will be good at this. But she really saw me. She saw me. She saw my pain. She saw what I was going through. But she loved me so much that she was very careful in the way that she presented it to me. So, long story short, here we are. And I've been doing this since 2013, I believe. 2013. I believe, in the radio podcast since 2011. So even that was a season. But in that season, look what in my season of what I call dryness or my winter spell, look what was birthed out of it. Because someone saw me in that season and introduced an assessment to me to help me. Um, Bluff City Leadership was birthed. I say that to say no season goes without blessings. No seasons. And I know when we're in the storm, we don't see that. Um, but if you look back, if you glimpse back and take a look at the things that you thought you would never get through, that you would never get through, where are you now? And it doesn't mean that it went away. It doesn't mean that you're still not dealing with it, but you're still here. And if you really thought about it, you're probably much better off in this phase because every season, if we allow it, is a birthing season. If we allow it. So, Trent, what are your thoughts on the season? Because I'll get winded
I
here,
got
and
you.
I want to try to have the caller call us back because I think I
I got
really
you.
know what happened
My
here.
the thought
So,
my thoughts on seasons, and actually I still don't remember saying it, but I'm taking your word for it. You say I said it. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that show. But when we talk about seasons, right? The moment, the moment I hit that bathroom floor, bleed on the brain, from that moment I knew I was in something special. I'm talking about before getting to the hospital. From the moment I hit that floor, it's almost as if my body hovered over my limbo body laying on the floor. And I have to be honest with you, man, I never once had fear. That's how I knew God was with me. That's how I knew that I was in that season, I was in that moment. It's been go for me ever since. But you can't when you dealing with seasons, and you're gonna know when it's the right season. You're gonna know when you're hitting on all cylinders. It's gonna be a totally different situation going on.
so when you say hitting on the right season, what do you mean?
The right season, you finally aligned yourself with God's purpose for your life. You're gonna know.
So do you believe that all seasons are the right season? Or is
Sometimes
the right
there
season?
sometimes there are seasons that actually get us right and get us prepared for the next season. But every season is to get you to the next one. That's just like for me, right? My season when I thought me personally, when I thought I was hitting on all cylinders, when I had those 100,000 followers, all these people follow me, and I'm traveling all over the country speaking, all this stuff going abroad, speaking. I thought that was my season, but that wasn't my season. I was being prepared. I was being prepared. And what I mean by prepared, all the stuff that I wrote for this time right now. I
So
didn't go
what
through any
season
of that
do
stuff.
you think you were in at that time? So the seasons that we're going to talk about tonight, and we're going to make it relatable to your daily life. Um, and then
I mean, this
what's
season or the last season,
the season that you were in where you were doing all the stuff,
it was
the
prep
speaking?
work. God was prepping me. I was in prep work. Everything that I did in that season when I thought I was popping on all cylinders, God was prepping me. He was preparing me and prepping me for the loss of my mother, for the loss of my brother, for that wheelchair, being paralyzed, blind. Because most of the things that I was writing at that time, I didn't go through any of that stuff until now. But when I sat in the rehabilitation center, all that stuff kept coming back to me. The stuff that I wrote, everything that I wrote in that last season of prep was preparing me. And here I am.
So I feel, and okay, let's do this. I want to give the definition, and I know you guys know this, but I'm a word girl, and I love just giving you the opportunity to look deeper in some things. So you said people are at or in a spiritual season. They're at a pivotal point in life where they're
But they're finding
um,
themselves.
finding themselves.
Yeah.
So,
It's your job to tap into it so you can pull it out of them.
meaning finding themselves.
Exactly. It's your job to tap into them. They find themselves. Sometimes you can find yourself, you can still be lost. They don't
See,
know how to actually get to
I
the next
wanted to
step.
change the word. I didn't. Your words, and I'll say for me, finding
Okay.
didn't do it for me. I understood what you're saying, but it's like becoming one. Like you stop fighting yourself to get to a
I can
pivotal
agree with
point.
that.
Yeah, that we stop fighting with.
You might want to you might want to check Slash's message telling you something technical.
Oh, he's just saying that he did not hear any where there were no issues with,
Okay.
and I don't think my caller is going to be able to call back, but we'll see. We'll try it again next week because I really I think I know what happened because when we
That's
tried
cool.
it, I think it did really well.
That's cool.
So when you use the word a pivotal point in life, so it means pivotal, very important,
Yeah,
critical.
very.
And then a moment is described as a precise point in time. So
Exactly.
pivotal moments are big moments and little moments of clarity that provide us with new perspectives and an opportunity or opportunities to change our lives. So
Let's break this down.
it
Let's break this
allows
down.
the opportunity, but they have to do the work.
Exactly. Let's break this down in layman terms so everybody could get it. So as you're giving the definition of, right? So when I
Hmm.
said pivotal, right? Think about this. The moment, that very important moment, I hit that bathroom floor, bleed on the brain, paralyzed, everything. That was in a pivotal moment of my life. At this point, it was do or die. At this point, it was do or die. My mother's gone, Greg's gone. There's no support. I am at the very important, I'm at the peak, at the pinnacle of my life, the pinnacle point, the peak of my life. People, the average person will say, well, damn, that was in a desolate place. Now I was in a great place.
But that's
So
how
to the average person,
that's how right, because people will hear that and think, how is that a pivotal point? It's how you look at
I was at the pivotal point in my life, and I was at the peak of my life at that moment. When I became ill, paralyzed, and blind, that's when I thrived. That's when God was doing his most work within me.
oh, he's hearing
That's
some.
how I knew I was in. That's how I knew I was in the prep work, the prep season, the season before, because I wasn't afraid. I was tentative. I was very listening. I was very attention and making sure I understood everything that I was going through. From that moment, I knew exactly what was going on. I knew I was being prepped in my previous season, but that was the most important point. Me falling and getting ill. That grabbed my attention. So it was at this point, it was, hey, we got work to do. And from that moment, 3 years ago, I've been hitting on all cylinders because I understood the seasons. You follow me?
I do, and we're going to go through what those seasons are and explain what you may be experiencing.
Okay.
Slash, thank you. Let me know if you're still hearing that echo. Because if you are, I'm just going to have to take the phone out of here altogether. Because I think if I end this, I might shut myself off, and I
Yeah,
don't
we're
want
not
to.
gonna do that. We can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it may or may not, but for some reason I have everything turned off, but it's still talking. Still, I can still hear myself. So, slash, let me know if you can still hear that echo. Um, I believe seasons are just that. It's seasoning for your life, for your life.
I
And
agree.
although we go from winter to spring, summer, and fall, think about what we do in winter. We're ready for the spring.
Right.
When spring comes, when is summer gonna come? When summer comes, when is fall gonna come? And we keep this rotation and never with and we keep the rotation of the next phase without getting the blessing in this phase, in
Right.
this season. We're always wanting the next thing without enjoying this thing,
Right.
this season. You were gonna say something? Did I cut you
Yeah.
off?
Let's go back to the seasons, right? The season where I was being prepped, I had my most time and my most pivotal points in that season in Memphis. That was my first time speaking at the U of M. That was my very first time speaking at the U of M. And it was very good speak speak. I still have that footage. I go back, I reference back to that footage often.
Hmm.
So that happened for a reason. I spoke at the U of M for a reason, prepping me for this season. You follow me?
I do.
Prepping me for this season. Some of the stuff that I said at that I spoke of at the U of M, I still use that stuff today. I still use that stuff today. A lot of the stuff that I spoke that night, I still use it. I always reference back to that time.
And that's what I mean by the seasons. They do come and go as it relates to nature, but in our lives,
Exactly.
they don't come and go. They forever come. I think that's a better way to say it, because you may be in that winter season. And before I go there, I want to just kind of introduce nature to you guys again, by providing you with a couple of examples. So last year, and I don't know if anybody has ever heard of this, botanical sexism. Have you all heard? Trent, have you ever heard of the botanical sexism?
I've never heard of it.
So I don't know if you know this. There are male trees and there are female trees.
I knew that. Yeah.
And there is this thing where most cities, many cities, prefer male trees, the planting of male trees over female trees. Do
Mhm.
you know why?
Why?
Because male trees, okay, not me saying this, studies have shown that male trees are less messy. I need to laugh. I'm so serious. When I heard this, I met someone and they were telling me about the pollen and the allergies, and it's like
Right.
it's because they're planting more male trees than they are female trees, because it takes more work to keep the female trees because of what they let off.
Isn't that
And
something?
so I know, and that's the first thing I thought about, men and women. That's the very first thing I thought about. And it says that the planting of more male trees creates, um, it leaves it to be out of balance, because
Right.
now the male is competing with the few female trees that are out there. There's a competition going on. And I'm like, that's men and women today. But at that time, I was not aware that there were male and female trees. I just saw trees as trees.
That's interesting.
Now, how perfect is God to not only give us male and females, and as it relates to animals, but
But
the
here's the thing.
trees.
If we truly take a look within ourselves, all the answers to all of our questions is in nature. I thought about this last week when I went out back with Kobe. I planted a Japanese plum tree for my mother 7 years ago. And as I got back there and I'm
A
looking at
Japanese what?
Japanese plum tree.
Okay.
So I'm walking around, Kobe's doing his thing, whatever. So all these fruits are all over this tree, right? And it took me back to the time when my mother was sitting on the patio. I took this small plant and put it in the ground for her. In the seventh year, it bore fruit.
Hmm.
The seventh year, I
Year of
took fruit off
completion,
that
right?
tree.
Is that considered the year of completion?
Exactly. So
Isn't it?
check this out. Check this out. That's an experience I had with my mother. I planted a tree for my mother, and this is the year that I'm coming into this transition, going back into the conversation, going back into working my way back out to speaking engagements, all this stuff. This is the year. This is it. We launched a whole network, everything. This is it. So as I was harvesting these plums, I'm thinking about you and all the work that we're doing and all the work ahead of us. I said, this is it. This is it. This is the
Hmm.
season.
The season of what would you call this season?
The season of
If
actually
you had to compare
completion.
it to, if you had to name it winter, spring, summer, or fall based on what you know about winter,
Oh, baby, it's a
spring,
spring. It's a spring.
this is
It's a spring.
spring.
It's
What
something new
happens in
coming.
spring?
It's something new coming. It's something new coming. Some new growth. I'm telling you, it's spring. It's gonna be spring all year for us. I'm telling you.
So
Mark my
you
words.
mentioned the Japanese plum
Plum,
tree.
plum. Yep,
Okay,
plum.
so I have in my notes, I have a Japanese maple
Okay,
tree, right?
okay.
And I put in my notes, I wanted to remind myself that every year, including this year, I am in awe of the day that I realize it has bloomed.
Right,
Because to me, it feels like it happened overnight. It feels like I looked yesterday and then I woke up this morning
and there it
and it
is.
and it the most beautiful pink purplish
There it
blooms
is.
you ever want to see. But just a day ago,
Exactly.
it had nothing. It had
And it,
nothing.
we talk about these seasons, right? We talk about the seasons and knowing exactly which season you're in. But most people, most people today that I encounter are so afraid to go out on that limb, not even understanding that's where God's fruit is resting on the edge of that limb. Go get that fruit, man. I'm going to get every last one of them plums out there for us. Every
Do
last
you
one of them.
believe that to be for every because as we talk about seasons, it's important, I feel, just my take on it, is that where while I might be in my winter season, you may be in your summer season. And often when say if I'm in the winter season and I equate the winter season to be that dry season, that time, um I'll say dry, but also if we are on our spiritual high or had that pivotal point, we may see that dry season as our time to rest
Right.
and regroup and get more connected to ourselves and God. Because I remember back in the day in winter, I mean, the elders were prepared for winter.
Right.
They had did the canning, they had did all the things. And I don't know if you guys remember when it used to storm outside. My grandmother's made you sit down.
Yeah,
Things like that.
my
To
grandmother would
listen,
make us sit down, not only sit down, but
be quiet.
be quiet and also take sheets and put over all the mirrors.
I mean, well, I don't know about that part, but be
Yeah,
quiet. Like there was a certain respect for nature. There was of the voice of nature. And
voice of
I
God.
feel like that was because there was a respect for God who created the nature. So
That's right.
our elders saw everything and connected it back to God. Now I don't know if I'll just ask the people if you had to name your spiritual season that you're in now, just for the sake of this show, which would it be? Winter, spring, summer, or fall? And just think about winter. What do? We put the coats on. We're all covered up. For the most part, we may stay in a bit more. I don't know if that still is in this day and time. We stay in a bit more. We just a bit more, and we get sick more
Right.
according to I guess studies. We get sick more flu season and all of that. So this is no different. And that's why I wanted to introduce you again to nature. Not that you need it, but start looking at your life. I believe nature teaches us so much. Even going back to the trees, did you know that a 100-year-old tree has provided over 14,000 has provided 14,000 people with oxygen? I think that's how it read. Yet we continue to cut them down.
Men are
The
ignorant,
trees
man.
have seasons. They bloom, they die, or The leaves die, the root of the tree. We were having this conversation. The root doesn't die, the tree
Right.
doesn't die. Even with the maple Japanese, with the Japanese maple tree that I have,
Right.
sometimes it does need shedding. Not all of those limbs come back, but not all is lost. And I think we look in those seasons, and rather than look for what we have gained, we focus more on what we've lost in that season or what we may lose in this season, rather
Right.
than what God is doing to us, pruning us so that we come back in a brighter pink than we did last year, as I referenced the Japanese maple tree. Or for your plums, more plums, juicier, more beautiful in color. So it's all in how you look at your season. And if I could go back to your pivotal point in life where their perceptions may be changed enough to where they can do things differently. One of the greatest miracles of all things is a changed perception. Why? Because to change your perception means that you've looked inward
Right.
and you see differently. You've allowed yourself to learn something that changes your perspective, which is perspective is mostly based on what you went through and how you internalize what you went through.
Right.
That's where your perspective comes from. So in my looking at this, you all, if I had to name my season before going into this, I would have I felt like, and I don't think I told somebody this today. I felt like um I've been in this dry season for a while. It feels that way. It
But
feels that way.
but
But
but but think about it now. Just like when I thought I was in my on and popping season, that wasn't it. The on and popping season is now. So it's not what we think. But this is why we have to. It's imperative that we get out of our heads when we're going through these different
that's why
seasons.
I said feel, because
Exactly.
because I think seasons now is again just after looking at this, it's just I look at it so differently. I mean, I was on this high today because of the things that I read and because it allowed me to get out of my head. I
Right.
just like God sprinkling his stuff on me. And he's in every season. He's preparing me for that winter season if I just had to name it.
Exactly.
But it's not a season. It's God. It's just God doing his
Yeah, I
work
tell
in
you.
us.
I tell you something. That's something I never shared with you before, right? I remember what I just said.
Okay.
When I was thought I was on and popping, running around the country, going to the Bahamas, Jamaica, all this stuff. I thought I was on and popping, right? I thought that was it.
Hmm.
I'm hitting on all cylinders. In my mind, that wasn't it. I made a stop in Atlanta at a book signing down in Alpharetta, Georgia. I'll never forget this. There's a lady that come to the book signing. Her name was Dr. Rosemary Taylor.
I remember Dr. Taylor.
From that moment, that was my first time meeting her that day at that book signing. I had never met this lady a day in my life. She said, "Hey Trent, can I speak to you for a second?" I said, "Yeah, I will talk after I finish signing and taking pictures with these folks." So after it was done, I stood to the side and spoke with her, right? And she says, "You're gonna speak to the masses. I see you speaking to a sea of people. I see you
Who it
speaking
was.
to a mass of people."
Okay.
I said, "Okay." I didn't say nothing. I took it. I said, "Okay." I think I appreciate it. And she just kept saying it. She always reminded me of that, right? But me and my ignorance, thinking that was the season. She wasn't talking about that then. She's talking about this now. This is the season.
So
We're
how is
bro-
this season different from that season?
we're broadcasting on the Roku channel. We're broadcasting to millions of people on the Roku
I
channel.
wasn't looking for that answer. I'm gonna ask you the question again. How
Go
is
ahead.
this season different from that season?
Because I've aligned with my purpose. I've
That's
aligned, I've aligned with my purpose.
so it's not the season, it's the trend. It's the
Boom.
person. It's you. It's
Absolutely.
you who's listening out there. It's not, it's never the season.
It's not even
Never.
about the season. Never about the season. Here's the thing, and I'll say this until forever. That moment I reached the rehabilitation center, the only thing that I was more interested in was contacting and getting in touch with you. I had no other interest other than getting better, reaching out, speaking with you, talking to you, and like, hey man, I got some work to do, and you got to help me with it. That's the and thing about it. That's how God got me to that quiet space and aligned me with myself and aligned me with His purpose. This is why this stuff is effortless.
Now
This
that's
is why
how
this
he
is so easy.
remembers it. The story went a little bit different, but I'm not gonna go there tonight. The story was
Hey man,
a
that's
little bit.
that's the way I remember it. That's the way I remember it.
It's all good though.
Yeah.
But the story was a little bit different during that time.
Well, you know what the memory loss. So I don't know.
With your condition, with your condition. So, what about summer? What do you think about the summer season? Well, let's go to spring because it goes winter, spring. If you had to identify a time in your life where, and y'all know what we do, we go crazy in the spring. Like
Turbulent.
we go
As you
crazy,
saying
we
it, I'm
go
thinking
cray cray.
as you saying it, I'm thinking turbulent. All my summers were turbulent. So
See, I think spring is a season where we start to, we've coming out of the dry season. And you know what we do when things seem to pick up and get better? Not all of us, but I think it's kind of natural to think, oh, I'm good with God now. I'm good with me. Things are looking up. And we stop doing the things that help get us where we are. And
right.
sometimes it's not even about us getting us where we need to be. God, sometimes I feel for me, he picks me up and moves me because I
Yeah,
will get
getting you
stuck
out of
in
your
a
way, of your
season.
own way.
Right. I will get that's and I'll
Yeah.
be honest, I will get stuck in a season.
Hmm.
I will get stuck in my head and never move. And I'm telling you, I feel like God has picked me up many times and be like, okay, I'm just gonna put you over here.
We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
be super
throw you
serious
over
tonight,
here.
so I won't be throwing any shade at Tammy tonight about
No, throw it.
getting out of her own way.
Throw
She
it.
she like when she's working on a project, she gets in her if she gets in her head, and I know when she's in her head, if she send me 5 different versions of anything that we're working on, I said, we're gonna be here a minute. We're gonna
And
be here
that's
a minute.
true. That's true. The assessment that I talked about earlier, that helped me see myself. Now that
Right,
has not has not gone away 100%. What's happened is I'm able to recognize it now and try to detour, try to
right,
come out of my head. I It's still a work in progress to
right.
get out of my head and my feelings so that I don't lose my way in the seasons, that I
Yep,
don't miss what God is doing in that time.
absolutely.
And that's what it's all about, understanding your seasons, because my seasons may not be yours. We may not, for the most part, we're never going to be there at the same time all the time.
But the most
But
important thing is about the seasons, you have to be prepared for each season, meaning you have to get to a certain level in life. You have to go to the next realm to get to the next season. So you have to have a clear understanding of yourself. If you don't have an understanding of yourself, you're gonna be stuck for a minute until you get it. That's where I was. I was stuck for a minute. I thought I was on and popping, but I was stuck.
but see, there's going to be a time again where you think you're on and popping, and you're going to be stuck, but not stuck as in stuck there. You are there for a reason to get what
Right.
you need to move on.
Yep.
I see this after. I'm really jumping to the end here, but after this, there are two seasons for me. For
Makes
me,
sense.
they are teacher and student. And what I mean by that, when
Uh,
you guys have heard me say this, that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
absolutely.
I become a student of my life, not my seasons, a student of my life so that I can understand whatever, if we want to name them seasons. But we all should be preparing to be a teacher
Yep.
for the pupils or the students that have been assigned to us, and vice versa. We need to prepare or be humble enough and know when it's time to be a student in those
Absolutely.
seasons. Maybe that's a better way to say it. To know which seasons we're a student in, and to know which seasons we are to teach in.
That was a
but
great word,
always be
humble. That was a great
um,
word, humble, humble.
right, because most times
Great word.
we want to be the teacher,
Man.
but to be the teacher is
You
to
have
me
to be
really
humble.
just to be the teacher is a demonstrator. So are
Right.
you demonstrating what you are teaching? Are you a demonstrator of renewing your mind or guarding your heart? We
Right.
don't talk about those things. We talk about the things that we can see.
Absolutely.
But again, I say the student, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The same thing applies for the teacher.
That's right.
When the teacher is ready, that student will appear. But when the student is ready, the student has to be willing and able
You
to
know,
see the
in
teacher
my
as well.
personal opinion, my personal opinion and my personal experience,
Hmm.
God didn't show up until I humbled myself.
I think
God,
you
hold on a
didn't
second.
show up
No, no, no,
until you
no.
humbled yourself.
God
I
did
don't think
not.
you were able to see him until
That's my
you
whole
humbled
point. He
yourself.
got me out of my way. Once I was out of my way, I could see him, but I was in my own way. But
Because when you say he didn't show up, I just feel like he's always there. We're not there.
I'm talking about in a physical sense for me personally. So I was the one actually blocking my view. You get it? I
Hmm.
was blocking my view. He was
Hmm.
there all the time, but I was blocking the view. So in my mind, I was like, he's not. He didn't show up until I humbled myself. I had to deal with myself within. Everything starts with you.
Right. Right.
Everything.
And
But
and
the moment I got out of my way, he got me out of my way. I started hitting on all cylinders.
how do you feel he got you out of your own way? How do you
He made me deal with my stuff.
feel what you said?
He made me deal with my stuff. Once I was able to deal with my stuff, clear as day, I'll never forget this. I cried out in that bed at the hospital, and I just asked, I said, God, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. These words I still remember to this day. Trini, what are you talking about? I never left you. I've always loved you like I love David.
Hmm.
Plain as day. And from that moment, I got the sight back, started walking, started working out, doing everything I needed to do to get back. That can no one tell me there is no God. Can't nobody tell. I am sold out to the highest, to as high as it being. I am sold out to everything that I need to do. I'm razor sharp and super focused. I'm sold out to it. I'm in a whole different realm at this place.
Hmm.
Sold out.
I can remember, and I know we're talking, it seems like we're talking about more about nature than we are seasons, but again, nature, I think nature, besides God and his teachings, well, I won't even try to compare them, is one of our greatest teachers. I remember a time long, long, long ago, and I was then too going through a season, going through
Yeah,
this kind of woe me season. Just kind of unhappy in every aspect of my life. And I decided to the best way to deal with that day was to get out and take a walk.
right,
And during that walk, for the first time in my life, it was as if the wind itself spoke to me, meaning I didn't just feel it, I felt it. Like I realized that hey, this wind that I cannot see,
right,
that I cannot see. I can only see the objects that it moved, including my hair. Like my hair is blowing. I see trees, the limbs blowing. I see paper blowing. I see just all these things being moved by the wind that I could not see. And that was a God moment for me. And the very first moment that I started to fall in love with nature itself, because it went from the wind to the sun to the moon, and then ironically to trees. I
right,
had this thing with trees where I started to just watch them as I walked. There'd be times I'd be talking to you at Shelby Farms, and I'd be walking and I'd notice the trees, meaning that they're trees. They're big, they're tall, some are wide, some are not, whatever. but they're all trees. And I remember thinking they don't compete with one another. But
Right.
we as humans, we don't just compete with each other, we compete with ourselves, the self that God created us to be. And we do this in these seasons that he forces us in. I won't say force, that he allows us to go in, because we need the work, we need the pruning, we need the dry season.
And the only way we get to each season, man, we literally have to get out of our own way. We literally have to get out of our heads. We literally have to deal with anything that we need to deal with. That's the only way you'll be able to move on to the next season. Because each season you're gonna have to deal with something. And most times what people don't understand, that something is yourself. If
Hmm.
you deal with yourself, you're able to move on, collect $200, pass go to the next season. And you got to be
Hmm.
real with that, man. You got to be real with that. The only way you can move on is dealing with yourself. That's the payment. You have to deal with something from within. You continue walking.
Hmm.
You
Have you
continue
ever felt
walking.
like you've been in a waiting season, meaning that you're
Yeah,
expecting things from God that seemingly are not coming through, like you felt like he's not with you? I guess kind of what you said before, but have you been in that season? And if
I
so,
have.
okay.
I
What
tell
do
you the
you think
season that
bring those seasons on, the waiting season?
for me personally, it wasn't my time and I wasn't ready. But here's the thing. My waiting season
Mm.
was right after my divorce. I made it back to Louisiana. I moved to Houston first from Michigan, and then back to Louisiana after the passing of my father. That was my waiting season. So after I was instructed to write these books, I sat on those books for a minute. I was like, okay, now what? I didn't even know what to do with it. Didn't know what to do with anything. All I was instructed to do was journal and write this stuff down. I've been sitting on these books for so long. I was in my waiting time, like, okay, so what now? What do I do? I'm stuck here in New Orleans now, and I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? But it wasn't my time yet because I was still in my own way. You follow me?
Hmm.
I had to deal with Big Will. And who helped me deal with Big Will?
You did.
Knock it off. She don't give herself credit, ladies and gentlemen. She really don't.
No, because it's like you
Because
said.
writing a book about him did not help me deal with him. Let's be clear about that. So
Oh.
writing about it did not clear me, did not heal me because I was still going from country to country and city to city, knocking these women off. Come on. The only time that I was able to deal with Big Will is when you asked me to, hey, you know what? You need to reread that book. That's when I started dealing with this stuff in my now season. Get it?
Because I think often it's like what I said about this show tonight. I'm sitting here and I really feel like I need to be on the other side, getting getting this message.
Well, you're gonna
Um,
do it. You're gonna do it in
so
the playback. You'll get the message in the
and
playback.
but again, but I'm saying this to say, when you wrote the book, you in most cases we feel we are writing the book for other people. But when I ask you to go back and read it for yourself, read it as someone who doesn't know you,
Right,
or Big Will, which
right,
Big Will is his father. And because some people may be hearing this for the first time, um, Trent feels like some of the things he did in life, or not feels like, he said some of the things that he did in life as it relates to women and how he approached relationships came from what how he saw his daddy operate with women and how
right.
women responded to him. Um, so that's what that is about. So it came a time, I don't know what conversation we were having, but that was something God just dropped in my spirit. Um, he needs to read that book
Yeah,
and get an understanding. So Slash has, yep, the dry season, the waiting season, the grinding season. I have those down too. The test and trials, even the spiritual warfare season. That's why I say we need to do
absolutely,
this over again, because
absolutely.
people don't understand that spiritual warfare season.
I'm glad he brought that up with the spiritual warfare. Right,
Hmm.
the season for me for the spiritual warfare was right before my mother passed. I was dealing with a whole bunch of things, and it was not of this world. I was dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. And to be honest with you, now I'm saying this for the first time on your broadcast. I haven't spoken this to anyone else, but when my before my mother passed, I knew my mother was going to pass at least 4 or 5 years before.
Hmm.
I knew. And that point, God was still preparing me. He was still preparing me. So I knew it was going to take place, but I just didn't know when.
Hmm.
And you know, I'm not a holy roller. You know, I don't bust no church doors open, none of that. I'm giving you straight real. And I knew it, but that was God preparing me. He was preparing me. That spiritual warfare was nothing nice, man. Nothing nice.
Yeah, spiritual warfare is not talked about.
And it's real. It's super real.
Super. And it's rarely people. I've had those moments where, and I wish I felt like I had. I've had two very beyond words
Right.
moments where one of them, at that time, I felt like there was no one I could go to that would not deem me crazy after hearing the conversation. And
Yeah.
thankfully, when I tell you guys, and I one day I'm going to have to get into that. I do get into it a little bit in the book, but it involves other people, so I'm very mindful about that. Um, but I remember this particular day. I went to work in this state of distress, meaning I'm serious. I did not know where to go, who to talk to about this spiritual warfare that I was in.
Hmm.
And this lady worked with me. She was a fireball when it came to praying and things like that. She walked over and she asked me questions that needed to be asked out of the blue, that let me know that God had sent her
Exactly.
to
But
me
you know
for
what
this.
I learned, going through my turbulent time when you're dealing with with the next realm and the spiritual realm, when you're dealing with that, you know what I learned? Those wars are meant and implemented in your life to get closer to God, because that's the only way you can get through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the only way.
Absolutely.
That's the only way I got through it. It got me closer to God, got me more bolder, got me more on it. Like, yo, because when you think about it, when you talk about spiritual warfare, there's nothing that can happen to us outside of God's protection. Nothing. Nothing. So when you're dealing with certain things, that's all it is the devil playing tricks on you. He's playing with your mind. That's all that is.
And
That's
we do
all that
know
is.
he comes to rob, kill, steal, and destroy.
Absolutely. So like with this situation, as I said, as a season, right? In my prep season, God was prepping me. He was prepping me. All the stuff that I wrote, I'm talking about thousands and thousands upon thousands of passages. I went back to that stuff within this now season because I was going to need it. Didn't know at the time. The stuff that I wrote back then, I wrote for this time. Because when I wrote it, I wasn't going through anything. I wasn't going through anything. But those passages got me through to where I felt like, and still right now to this day, as far as this recovery, it's done. And my mind is already done. I'm still through it, but I already see it. I
Mm,
already see it. I saw it the moment that I was laying in that hospital bed. I'm paralyzed. When I was blind, I knew I was going to see again. Nobody could tell me different. I'm sold out to this, man.
mm.
No one could tell me different.
Do you think that what you've gone through in this season, this past season, with the stroke and losing the eyesight
Sure.
and your somewhat your mobility to a
Yeah.
degree, has it how has it made you, because I hear you say it's not a disability, it's a
It's a
different
different
ability.
ability.
How has it improved your faith?
I always had faith, but it's supernatural for me now.
Mm, So
Like I
you
have the let me,
embraced.
let me tell you something. I have the faith of Job.
Mm.
I was stripped of everything, everything, stripped of everything, and I feel like a rich man.
Mm. Slash made a good point. Let's get some of his comments. He said it's
Okay,
not about, and I'm starting at the bottom, and I'll go back up.
okay,
It's not about winning nor losing in life. Life is a lesson summed up as lessons and blessings. Either we learn or continue to jump hurdles.
absolutely,
Absolutely, absolutely.
good
And
stuff, Slash.
and the hurdles, gosh, I couldn't have said that better, but I like how he says either we learn or continue to jump those hurdles. I truly believe if we don't stop and start learning from the seasons God allows us to go through,
Right, right,
grow through, if we don't see them as a um a place to grow, then we're going to continue. The hurdles are going to be there anyway because life happens. But how you go through those hurdles depends on how you see yourself
how you see
amidst
yourself,
season.
how you see yourself,
Right.
how
And
you
how
see
you see God. But more importantly,
exactly.
because if you don't see yourself as God, because God created you. So how
That's
can
right,
you see God if you don't see who he created?
exactly.
Even we don't know. The word says he knows the number of hairs on our head. You think what do I look like sitting here trying to count the hair? Think about that, you guys.
There's no
What
way we could get. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way I can get down to the follicles right here. I couldn't do
no
that.
way. So
I
that
couldn't do
tells
that.
me, hey, I can say my hair, my this, it doesn't belong to me. This
Doesn't belong to
body
me.
is not
Exactly.
mine. This life is not mine. So if it's not mine, I don't get to choose the season that I go through, how I go through it. I do have to show up as my mama Earlene said, look, God, while I might not understand you, I trust you. I will
Right.
never forget those words she said to me. And there's been much that I have not understood, but
Right.
trusting him has allowed me to grow through it. And it didn't mean that I didn't have like the season I think I just came out of before
Right.
this show. Didn't mean that I didn't recognize or feel like I'm in this dry season or as Slash puts it out there, this waiting season or this
Mhm.
grinding season. And Lord knows I know way more than I want to know about the spiritual warfare season. I could tell you some stories there that will really make
Exactly.
you see life differently because
And
there's so much more than
this is
than we
strictly
can
for the
see.
viewers. This is strictly for the viewers. If you're in your turbulent season, if you're in your turbulent season, keep going. You just have to get through it to get to the next. If you're in your turbulent season, keep going.
You
There's
know
light
something
at the
that's
end of the
very
tunnel.
important. So, it's so important to have people in your life, and it doesn't have to be a lot of
Exactly.
people, but we all need that one person that we
Exactly.
know, not that we feel like it needs to be established at the start of a relationship. Or if not, and I'm not saying, love relationships, but if that's the one, then that's even better. But we all need that person where we can go to and put it all out there and be able to talk and get answers or just be heard without judgment. We all need that person doing every season
Right.
because, and why? As we say, B2G, better together,
Better together.
Unity TV. We have to
Yeah,
learn
that's right.
that if I lose, you lose.
That's
I
right.
have to learn that if you lose, I lose. We can't keep fighting God's like nature. We fought nature enough to where we're starting to see the effects of it.
That's right.
Why on earth will we cut down so many trees and for what? Because all the things that we're cutting them down for is no match to what we're losing.
That's
Like
right.
we need oxygen. Trees provide that. But do we think about that? So in your seasons, God knows what you need. You don't. Because sometimes what we think we need is totally opposite of where God is sending us or what he will have us to do. So I want to read this about the winter season. And I guess for the purpose of, because it's interesting. The thing slash listed there
Mhm.
was the first thing that I found. And then I wanted to bring it back to make it more relatable winter, spring, summer, and fall. But I looked at the dry season as a winter, maybe waiting season, combining them together. So, winter, how much time we have? Oh, we've already gone over. And this is just what I found. I'm not saying that I agree totally with all of this. um they call it spiritual winter. In the winter season, they're seeing it as perhaps sadness, heartbreak, loneliness, and perhaps sickness. It says in the natural, when we think of winter, we think of rest. This is typically a time when things are not growing or blooming outside. Animals are hibernating, resting. And if we are smart, we should take a cue from nature when God calls us into a spiritual winter, meaning that, again, I think it's time to rest, just as the season rest, the winter season, our flowers
Mhm.
rest, some of them. So get that. Some flowers bloom in the winter. People go to the store and get the flowers that will bloom through winter. So we don't all have to bloom at the same time. I may bloom in winter, you may bloom in spring, but it's important to know where you are most strong, which season you are the strongest in. So it says we shouldn't resist the rest. Rather, we should welcome the opportunity to recharge. This is a good time to really hear from God on direction and next steps. That is, you guys, if we take the time to rest, to sit before God in prayer, in meditation. And that's something we should be doing through all the seasons. But I think what the thing is here is that when it's cold, we do less. That's the assumption. So pray and journal during this season. Ideas typically will be abound if you are getting proper rest during a spiritual winter. You may feel restless or unsure because it's not the time to harvest or take action on the ideas. However, you can be strategic about planning and getting yourself set up for a bountiful spring. Take him up on his graciousness and rest in him. So that's what the spiritual winter is. I won't get into the spiritual spring much. It says about spring hope, new beginnings, and opportunities. I would take this and relate it to what you said last week about the pivotal moment in life where you have a new perception, which brings about new opportunities or can bring about new opportunities, because we don't always take action when
Right.
we can, when those new
But not only do we have to listen, we have to be prepared. It's a must that we be prepared when those opportunities come. And those opportunities, when I say opportunities, I'm not talking about like physical opportunities and monetary opportunities. I'm not talking about that type of opportunity. The opportunity is when God's speaking, you hear Him. That's an opportunity for you to listen,
Hmm.
and you got to move on it. You got to move on when you hear that voice. When you hear that little voice, you got to move on it. That's an
Now
opportunity.
that's a new season, the day you hear his voice season.
You think it's not?
That's a new season right there. I
Exactly.
mean,
But you have to move on it. So, every one of us have a spirit man attached to us. Every one of us. No one's special here. No one's sitting on a high panel of judges here. None of that stuff. Every one of us have a spirit man attached to us. But here's the question. Are you gonna put a muzzle on that spirit man or are you gonna let him talk? Choice
hmm,
is yours.
hmm. Wow. Wow. So this is one of those topics, and we've gone a little bit over. I kind of got lost in this. This is
That's
one
all
of those topics. It'll be interesting to see. Um, and I'm not a numbers person, but it will be interesting. Why? Because we want to play the game without the proper equipment. So you want to play football with a basketball on a baseball field. Get that? That's what we want to do. Like, we want the relationship. We want to do this. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be valued. But we don't see ourselves. We don't hear ourselves. We don't hear God, and we don't value God, and we don't value who He created within us.
right, right, right.
So I'm saying that to say when you see topics such as this one, these are the ones that you should go against. Your first mind is, I don't want to hear that. I don't need that. You're running. You're running. So it'll be interesting to see what the numbers look like because anytime we talk about how you can get a man or how you can
Right.
get a woman or how you can do this, look this
Numbers be
part.
out the roof, but
They
the
be
most
out the
important
roof.
ones,
They be out the
I don't,
roof.
I don't think I don't think they know the okey doke right here, right now. We're giving. I'm gonna give up the okey doke a little bit, but it's always been about God for me. So it's always, and I know it's always been about
Even when
God
you
for her.
even Romello was even when you
Always, always, always.
and you guys, I feel like I'm glad you said that because I don't care where you think you are or how bad you think you've messed up or
Exactly.
how deep in sin you think you are. God is
But
always,
here's the thing.
always there.
Remember what I said now when I was crying out to him in the hospital bed, right? And I asked him not to leave me. It's kind of funny that, and God has a great sense of humor. He says Trinity, and he called me by my government name, not by Trent, not by my stage name, not by my author name, none of that. He said, Trinity, what are you talking about? I never left you. I've always loved you like I love David. And I found that so very funny. Why would he choose David to call me like he loved me like he loved David? David was the biggest womanizer in the Bible. David had a harem of women. I thought that was so funny. As I go back and I look at it and I think about that often. It's like, why would he use that name? Why would he use that, the one that he loved? And that's when I realized that this guy has been here with me all the time.
Mhm.
He didn't got me through some heroin times, man. From LA to everywhere. I'm not supposed to be here.
But you know what? People out there who are listening and that will hear this, if they really sit in themselves, if they really sit down in their life, we all can say that.
We definitely can.
We all can say we've been a place,
Definitely
we
can.
did a thing that we could say we should not be here today, or we should be,
Definitely
something
can.
should be so
It's only
different.
by God's grace, man. It's
It
only
is.
by God's grace.
Oh my.
Only don't think that, oh, Trent got out of there because he was so slick and smooth. No, nah, not at all. There's something greater for me. There's something greater than myself. I know exactly where my blessings are generated from. I know exactly where that power is generated from. I know exactly where this gift is generated from. I'm just borrowing it. I'm just a vase. I'm borrowing this stuff.
I'll say this in closing, and I know I feel like I kind of got off topic here a
That's a
little
good one,
bit,
man. It's a good
but
one.
nature, I'm going to go back to nature. Stop and love on God, what God shows us through nature. Stop and watch a sunset. Get up and watch a sunrise. Look how this reminds me of the song My Redeemer Lives. It talks about who told the sun where to hide till morning, and who told the ocean that it could only come this far, and who told the moon where to hide until evening, whose words alone can catch a falling star.
Exactly.
Think about that. Think about that. And just know that what you see out there and how you see God managing and taking care of nature. Although we are finding a way to destroy it for sure, another topic. But when you think about nature, allow yourself to sit in your life and I hate to use the word compare, but well maybe find common things as it relates to how it all happens, because animals get together and have babies just like just like we do. Think about
Right.
that. Think about that. Think about how God speaks to us through nature. It used to be where, and I think even now it's still this way with animals. I feel like we are losing a bit of this. My elders, I can remember them knowing when it was going to rain, when it was going to storm. They had this communication with nature through God. So
Right.
they had this connection with God that connected them with nature. because of God. So as you go through your seasons or whatever you want to call them, because for me, I've narrowed it down. There's a student season and a teacher season. And I don't really get to choose. I feel that way. I don't get to choose which one I'm in, but I do have to choose that I'll show up and be active in whatever season that is and be ready to demonstrate and certainly be ready to sit down and learn so that I can prepare to demonstrate again and be humble enough to learn, be humble enough to entertain um, the idea of a changed perception, to get out of my own way. So no matter what season you're in, I'm gonna put slashes because I really like how that shows up. As it relates to winter, spring, summer, and fall. We also have the dry season, which is part of, I think, the winter, the waiting
Mhm.
season. A lot of us feel like we're waiting most of the time on God, but I'm telling you, you're not waiting on God, you're waiting on yourself. I can
Boom.
attest to that one. The grinding season. And if you're not careful in that grinding season, you better pray more. You better
Yeah.
meditate more. You better do whatever it is that you felt got you there, or whatever it is that will keep you moving when you come out of it. Because when you get through that grinding season, I say this, everybody is either going through something or getting ready to go through something or just came out of something.
Absolutely.
So know
Absolutely.
your seasons. Identify them in the way that you need to for your life because God didn't create your life for me to live it. And he didn't create my life for you to live it. So the best thing you could do for yourself is find out what is my purpose. I believe all of our purpose is to glorify God, to bring glory to God's kingdom.
Pretty much.
But how we do that, I don't know. I don't know. That's God. We have to allow God in. So those are my closing statements. Over to you, my brother.
Oh, it's good, man. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's a good one.
It feels good to talk about God.
It feels good. It feels real good, man. It
Yes,
feels real
yes, it
good.
did. It
I
does.
think I think we should touch this again, though. Be a
Okay.
good thing to touch it again.
Yeah. With the word spiritual, we could tie that into to many ways or many
Exactly.
things. Because it's that word needs to come before many words, if not all of them. Because
Totally agree.
we
Totally
totally
agree.
in many ways gotten away from the spiritual
Totally agree. So
life.
I'd like to leave your viewers here with again is just want to leave them with something here. Again, if you're going through it, keep going. If you're going through it, keep going. There is light at the other end of the tunnel. On the other side of that tunnel, there is light. That light's waiting on you. I wouldn't be telling you if I hadn't gone through it. So after darkness, there's always light. But keep going. Next season's waiting for you.
And don't I think I'm saying the same thing you're saying, just in another way. Don't get stuck. And
Right.
remember what I said earlier. And I'm thankful, forever thankful, for my spiritual godmom who says, "Well, God, whatever season you're in or wherever you at in your life, minus the season, whatever. While God, I may not understand you or what's happening in my life right now.
Gotta trust me.
All the evidence shows me that I can trust you.
Right.
Has He ever left you there? You've always come through what you were going through. Period. I don't care who you are, what you're doing. There's nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastic, I didn't even get to that part. Um, Saying that there's nothing new under the sun. There's a time for everything, for everything. Getting down to there's a time to kill, there's a time to steal, there's a time to die. All of that.
Right.
So there's an appointed time for everything in your life. But the greatest appointed time is for you to trust God, keep your faith. Like my brother Trent said, keep moving and don't go through your seasons, grow through them. Expect
Absolutely.
it, grow through them.
And
So,
that's the only way you'll be able to get to the other side if you're growing.
right, because we don't want to get stuck in winter. Walking around here in a winter coat and it's 80 degrees outside. That'll
Exactly.
get the police called on.
Don't
It's
miss your
just not
spring,
right.
man. Do not miss your spring.
Don't miss your spring. I like that.
Yeah.
Don't miss your fall, your because they're all needed, right? Don't
Yep.
miss your fall, your winter, your spring. Don't miss your season. How about that? Don't
Absolutely.
miss your appointed divine season. And sometimes we miss that because we're looking at somebody else. We're in winter, but we're looking at somebody else in summer or in spring. You want that, but it's cold where you are. So you
Right.
need your coat on. You need to stay inside. You need to pray
Right.
more. You need to meditate more. So that's another thing. Take your eyes off the people around you, their season.
Right.
Bloom where you are planted. All right.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Slash. I cannot say enough. I hope I got everything that you put out there. Wait a minute. We did
Said
not.
that's look like Second Thessalonians or something.
Yes. Oh, go on one up here until someone is out the way. Oh, wow. So he says, the mysterious power is already at work, but someone is holding him back, and the wicked one won't appear until this someone is out of the way. Hmm.
Boom. Boom.
We're gonna have
You
to talk more about the next time we do this Ecclesiastic and that verse as well. But there were some verses that I did not give out tonight, and maybe I'll do it in the comment section. Not tonight, but sometimes
yeah.
this week because
I
some,
feel
there
I
may.
almost feel like I almost feel like I almost feel like I should create a special section for this show. Instead, I don't want to put it in the relation table to on demand. It's got to be something special, like a special section that was a word tonight. I always
We'll
want to
figure it out.
categorize.
But
Yeah,
you know what? It is at the end of the day. You know what? I think all of it is about relationships or
that's
your
true.
relationship because either your relationship with yourself, your relationship with God, your relationship with your friends, with your parents. We're all battling in the area of relationship. We're not doing this relationship thing work well, in my opinion. So when you talk about the spiritual seasons of life, that is about you getting yourself together, you becoming one. You stop fighting the man or the woman in the mirror.
I
You
get
stop fighting yourself and your purpose. And God, like Slash is saying here, get out of your own way and let God do what He does. He
Amen.
created you.
That's good
You
stuff.
don't know you. I don't know me, but I know God. I
Exactly.
know
That's good
God.
stuff.
And so it is about relationships. Everything I feel like is about relationships. How B2G unity. We're not unifying with what are we doing? So it's about
Exactly.
us becoming better together. So I think the special section or could be, it may not need it, but we can think about that and figure
Mhm.
out where to put it. But if
Right.
truth be told, it all starts there, connectedness. Are
That's
you
true.
connected with yourself, to yourself? Are you connected with God so that you can be better and then be better together? Because if
Right.
you show up half, I'm sorry, you're going to be a burden to me or to whomever you decide to show up with
Right.
one fourth of yourself, one half of yourself.
That's true.
No, you got to become one. Oneness. The oneness of the world is what we're seeking for. But we're not getting it because we're buying into the world. And the world will make us tired. We are tired. That's why we cannot function. It will beat you down. Even in summer, it will beat you down. Your springtime, it will beat you down if you're not geared up. If you're not geared up with I would say the word of God. And I remember thinking about this. I write about this in the book too about and I don't know if Trent, if you've ever noticed this, but it talks about the sword putting on, using the sword to fight your battles and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take that S off, and what is that?
Word.
Word.
Yeah.
The word of God is your sword. And oh my gosh, I remember you guys, I'm gonna really get off of here. There would be times when reading my Bible, and Matthew was the chapter that I remember the most being this way. I've read my Bible, I've read my Bible, I've read my Bible. But there would be times where I would go back and read a chapter that I've read over and over again. And literally, I would get my Bible and I would look at it to see if I'm reading the same Bible, because I would think that I would get so much from something that I've read so many times, but it wasn't the season that I was supposed to get it. My
Right.
eyes, my spiritual eyes were different. My heart was different. So when I would read it, I would have a different understanding. It wasn't that I didn't read it, the understanding, the connecting to it wasn't there because I was still lost in those areas where it was talking about. And so, even that, your seasoning in reading your Bible. I don't know if that's ever happened to anybody, but I'm telling you, it used to make me think I was crazy. Like, did God take these words out of here when I was reading this before? No, He didn't. I was different when I showed up reading it. Even that's a season, but it was a season for me to be the student so that
That's
I
good.
can demonstrate as a teacher. So I could go on with this. I don't know why I'm getting into it. So let me get off of here because we'll be 10 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I know. I got to get out of here and
Yeah, yeah.
do some
So
yoga stretches
thank
for
you. I hope that you guys got something out of this tonight. Share it. I don't know what we will do next week. We'll talk about it if you're going to come back with me. Okay.
I'll
Um,
come through.
okay. So we will we'll let you guys know if you have some topic ideas that you would like for us to talk about. Please send it to us, and I'm gonna get this thing working where we're gonna be able to take callers. I'm gonna get this working, so y'all stay
Yes,
tuned
ma'am.
for that.
Most
All right,
definitely.
you guys have a great night. Thank you for tuning in.
Good
Thanks,
night,
Sarah.
folks.